Hi everybody, welcome to the Man Alone YouTube channel. I'm your host, Man Alone, first my name, and as usual today we're going to be talking solo role-playing games. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the creative side of it. Creating a solo game of your own. A room of one's own? No. A solo game of one's own. And this solo game could be for your own enjoyment, could maybe be to put up on itch.io or drive-through-RPG, or just to share with your friends, whatever it is. I'm interested not only in getting people to play, but also those of you who have really awesome ideas and you struggle to, nail it down, bring it home, stick the landing. This is a video that I want to share with you, and I want to share my advice for doing this. Not because I'm a prolific solo game writer. Now, I won't lie about it, and this will be the last video where I overtly say it, but I did just put out Vox Gravis. This is a printed copy of it on my crappy $84 printer. But Vox Gravis is a system-agnostic solo RPG oracle based on Jungian archetypes. It's available on drive-through-RPG for $2.99. And thank you to everyone who has purchased it so far. We're nearly at 100 buyers, and this is only about 2 days later. The link is below if you want to check that out. But even if Vox Gravis, this wonderful little treat that I made that I feel so proud of, if it were to stop right now, just shy of 100 copies sold, I would be ecstatic. I'd be over the moon. Okay. Now that is not the mark of somebody who is a legendary tabletop role-playing game creator. For instance, I'm certain that the folks at Chaosium, and especially Greg Stafford, rest in peace, who founded the company in 1975. You believe that? 50 years, approaching 50 years. If they had sold 100 copies of RuneQuest, I don't think that they would feel that that was enough. So what I'm trying to say here is, who the hell do I think I am giving you advice about creativity and following through on these projects? Well, a couple of things. Number one, outside of role-playing, but within it as well, I'm sort of known amongst my friends and colleagues as a person who is like, hey, I'm going to do something. I have this idea. I'm going to do it. Now, the downside of being that way is I'm a very good starter, and I don't always follow through as much as I can, because new ideas are very exciting to me, and they have a lot of novelty and a lot of creative force behind them. But then actually following through on the meticulous pieces of putting them into existence can be sort of difficult for just the type of person that I am. I know that a few of you probably share this thing. Again, this is not my destiny. It is a muscle that I'm working. This is part of my 5-year Pendragon quest, another fantastic game put out by Chaosium. But, for the most part, one of the reasons I like having this channel is that I can try new things all the time. And not only different games, but different accessories. For instance, how about if you saw my Christmas list video, and I talked about, like, don't get dice unless they're really special. Yeah, BB didn't even see that video and got me these dragon dice that, I'm not even kidding, these weigh like 2 pounds in my hand. They're so awesome. Yeah, if you're gonna get super sick dice like that can actually like hurt somebody, that would be the exception. But I get to try out new dice. I get to try out all different new cards. I get to hear someone tap on my window while I'm sitting here recording this alone at night. All of these new experiences I can enjoy through having this channel. But at the same time, there is a specific satisfaction that comes from following through on a project and bringing it to life. And I've had the joy of doing that in many ways throughout my life that I'm very proud of. But in terms of solo RPGs, this channel, the Bartleby for Pocket Quest, Year Zero, the Year Zero Oracle, of course, Called to the Green, which is available in print and PDF, and as well Vox Gravis. And I hope to continue doing this for the rest of my days. And so that's a piece of it, of why I have the gall to be talking about this. The second thing is, you know that saying, like, never trust a skinny chef? Or I like to say, never trust the a front desk person at a tanning booth salon if they're pale. That one doesn't work as well. But I think it's actually the opposite for some things. Okay? For instance, dating advice, or how to talk to, say you're a guy, you're nervous, introducing yourself, talking to a woman, and you don't want to go to a friend who's super attractive. You know how super attractive people, they don't need to say anything. They just go up to people and say, "Hello, my name is Kenneth. My favorite movie is 2000. What was it? Babel. Remember that movie? Came out right around Crash. It was like 2006. Can you imagine that? Someone's favorite movie being Babel. Anyways, they could say that. And someone's like, "Hello, I'm Sylvia. Want to be husband?" Right? You want to talk to somebody who's mid looking and has to fight and scratch and scrape for every date they go on. And in the same way, I am, as far as gaming and game design and stuff, pretty mid, right? I mean, sold 100, going to sell 100 copies of that. Very cool. This is not the same metric for Greg Stafford, who apparently there's the Greg Stafford rule, which is whenever you come up with an idea for a role-playing game, you have to check to see if Greg Stafford came up with it first, and usually he does, right? So it's not something that I'm like exceptionally good at. I just really like it. I'm good enough. I want to learn, and I have some interesting ideas sometimes. And so I think that I am a very good person to listen to about this because, number one, I'm not so innately gifted that I don't even know how my process goes. I have to actually put a lot of effort towards that process, especially because I'm not a sustainer, but also because this is just something that might help you. And so why not? And if it does help you, if anything I say does help you, great. If some of it helps you and some of it doesn't, just throw away the stuff that doesn't work. And if all of it doesn't work, we can arrange a duel. We can duel. But whatever the case, I do have a template for this. And this will be a weirdly templated video, but it will be a template nonetheless. So first, I just wanted to briefly touch on RuneQuest. I've been wanting to talk about RuneQuest in a video, and I'm going to explore it more once I acquaint myself with it more. But I wanted to point out for those that have watched the channel for some of the stuff I've done on Jung and archetypes and mythology, this game is very much woven from that loom. In fact, the beginning right here has a quote from Liber Novus, the Red Book by Carl Jung. "If you break down the walls that confine your view, and if the immensity and its endless uncertainty inspire you with fear, then the ancient stupor awakens in you, whose messenger is the white bird. There, in the whirl of chaos, dwells eternal wonder. Your world begins to become wonderful. Man belongs not only to an ordered world, he also belongs to the wonder world of his soul. Now, I don't think it's an overreach to say that that is exactly the message that I want to have about creativity and starting processes. I all the time hear about people's ideas. I'm very blessed with that. I wish I had more time to individually give feedback about them, but so many of you send these amazing ideas, and then I say, "Wow, this is really great," and then you say, "Yeah, I'll probably never do it." And it just, I understand that there's nothing that I can necessarily say to encourage somebody to move from like that idea piece into the doing piece, right? That's like something that is a journey that everyone has to go through on their own in their own time. But I think sometimes the reason why it doesn't get any further than the idea is because it is far more comfortable to um, be planning on doing something or thinking of doing something than actually doing it, right? Because in that place of could be doing this, it is a very wide view. It's a 360 view of the future. But actually doing it, it narrows it down, right? And then you acquire a list of tasks, not all of which are very exciting or sexy or interesting. I recently watched a video from a very new channel. And if you like my approach to video making, which is just sort of talking and you have the patience for that kind of thing, I think it's good YouTube camaraderie, fraternity to share, especially a newer channel. I don't know how any the other videos are, how the future will be, but I think check this channel out. I'll link it below. The name of it, let me look it up. Okay, great. Yeah, the channel is actually called I read this book with Chris. And the name of the video that I saw is Live in the Real World, Read a Real Book, a Rant. And then the name of Chris, you don't got to put your channel name in the channel, but you can if you want to, but it says it right under there. And the gist of this was that Chris had read a sci-fi book called Galaxies, and the book had a whole lot of intention in it. You know, I intend to write this kind of novel. I intend to make you feel this way. My plan is to cause bring these ideas together or show this. But the book never culminated in anything. It was all plans, right? And he was lamenting the fact that there is so much conceptualization and planning and could have, not even could have, one day could, one day might, one day I shall, write this book, make this video, start this channel. And that's very easy to one day maybe do something, right? This is the dalliance of youth when you are interested in a topic or you are fascinated by an area of study. A little kid, who is 10, who says, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut." Well, at that age, you're not going to say, "Oh, really? So what are you going to get a PhD in aerospace engineering from Oxford and then go and serve 4 years in the Air Force? And then maybe if your vision is perfect, you can then," and you're not going to say that kind of stuff because the child, one of the lovely things about childhood is you have unlimited possibility, or at least you have the gift of assuming that you do, right? And we want that possibility to stay as open as possible, but at a certain point, you gotta do the thing. And at a certain point, that sort of thing becomes revolting to somebody who is a man. Like, to me, it's not even about gender here. I'm saying, like, as me as a man, when I hear a kid say that, I feel really happy for them and I feel really proud and hopeful. When I hear a teenager say that, I really want to encourage them. I want to focus that, right? Sometimes, though, you'll hear someone who's like, 47, and they're still doing this thing. One day I might. And this is not to say that people can't pivot and do new things or try things. I'm not saying that, but like, I have a friend who their entire life is like a big swing. They're never content to like get a job and chip away at something or take an apprenticeship. They're not even willing to take the time to learn something. They just want to do the big swing, and it's different every week. Of like, yeah, I'm gonna what was it one time? It was like, yeah, I'm actually going to get into like what the hell are those things? Escape rooms, right? And I'm going to the next week I'm going to start doing day trading, and then the next week and it's always something, and it's so comfortable to live in that possibility because you don't have to face any of the fear of rejection or disappointment or learning that you suck, right? That you're no good at it. And so you, the salve for that for some people is to eternally stay in this adolescent comfort of potentiality. But if you do that, after a while, no one cares. Nobody cares what you're considering doing. And if you're a person who is habitually considering doing something but never doing it, people are actually, like, adults are like, they're revolted by that. And it's not an intentional revulsion. It's actually unintentional revulsion of like, oh God, like, are you kidding me? You're still flipping around in the kids' pool. Like, come on. And yeah, there's a lot of sort of axioms in society about, oh yeah, the most interesting people I've ever met, they still don't know what they want to do at 50. And it's like, okay, that's not real. You know what I mean? Like, that's not real. Like, you got to do stuff. You got to do something. You got to be part of it. We're doing something here. We're running a globe, and we need you to come and help us out. And maybe in that time, you can create something really, really awesome. This is something I do on the side. I work full time, and I'm also in school full time. This is something extra that I do. And so I think that, that was me kind of having a little bit of a tough love conversation with those who need it, but those who don't need to hear that, I think you know what I'm talking about here. We got to do something, right? There are three people who love their job in this world. There's, Tina, the muffin shop pastry owner, who just every day wakes up and stretches and takes a deep breath and smiles because another day of making muffins. And then there's Toby, the bike messenger, who's like, I don't ever want to do anything except on the bike. And they have a tattoo of a bike tires, but they're an infinity sign on their calf. And then there's Gene Flamenco, who is an investment banker and honestly just is like so filthy rich that but everyone else just kind of goes to work. Okay. And so those of you who have these ideas, the analogy here is we got to go to work. Okay. We got to go to work. And so I'm going to give you some ideas of how to go to work. And it always starts with jealousy. It's not really jealousy. It's not a burning, painful jealousy. It's a jealousy that is a productive type jealousy. When I was paging through RuneQuest, I was like, man, I wish I made something this cool, right? And a lot of people, that's it. That's that's the thing, jealousy, right? And jealousy that just sits there. It's not really jealousy. I'm using that word. It's, there's a fair amount of awe and reverence, and there is, I would say, not as much anymore, but at certain times in my life, I think there was envy. But really, envy and jealousy, they can be very powerful catalysts, but they're like fire. They can cook your meal or they can burn you alive, right? And so you have to convert those pretty quickly. But I just look at this and I'm like, this is so cool, and there's so many, just like in Pendragon, there's so many things in RuneQuest that are just so awesome to, Greg Stafford, uh, the quote here about just like letting these walls fall down, right? There's this, you break down the walls that confine your view, and there's this immensity, and there's so many game systems in here that other people might say, oh yeah, they wouldn't even consider it to be, like a thing that could be part of a game. And Greg Stafford is just like, yeah, no, that's what I'm gonna put in this game, right? And they're actually hard to identify at this point because I think a lot of them are just, you know part of the landscape now. But even just this like runic magic system, and the family history and the different factions, and just placing it in the world that it's being placed in, which is like, at a time where it was like all sword and sorcery, and then putting this, which is kind of like more Bronze Age. It's just really cool stuff. And as soon as I feel that, as soon as I feel like, man, I wish I say, yeah, I do, I can, right? Um, and and that is when I say, that's when I go and I begin, uh, the process, right? So the first step always of the process is confronting the chasm. It's confronting the abyss. And the abyss is, uh it's endless. Okay? You gotta look at it. You gotta say, don't give in to positivity. Right? Don't do this stuff like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, dog. You suck. You have no idea what you're doing. You are, who are you? Who in the hell do you think you are, coming up with an idea? Well, you think you're going to come up with an idea that people are you kidding me? Nobody wants your stupid idea, okay? What you're serious right now? You think that all of these games out there, D&D, Dragonbane, Scarlet Heroes, Index Card RPG, Starforged, Root, Ultraviolet Grasslands, Merc Borg, you you think you're going to make something that could even possibly compete with that? And then say that you do. Who cares? What, you think, okay, maybe if you're lucky you'll make a little bit of money. Oh, cool. You got some money. What are you going to do with that? It's just the same thing. You're probably just going to buy a bunch of stuff that's better than your game, right? Now, the cool thing of what I just did there is people forget that voice, it's by the abyss, but it's not actually the abyss, right? Because the abyss can't talk, it's an abyss. So that voice is a voice that emerges from the abyss, and it's a dude named Derek. That was me being Derek by the abyss. And the awesome thing is you could just kick him into the abyss. All right. So that's step number one, is when you hear Derek saying all the stuff I just said, you got to do, like, in 300, This Is Sparta, do it mid sentence. Wait till Derek is like, oh, okay, you have an idea, you're going to do, and then just poof, right to the stomach, kick Derek into the abyss. As he's falling, just go, shut up, right? And then we can walk away from the abyss. Because you know what really doesn't matter? Anything. You can deconstruct everything into oblivion. You can keep asking, what are you going to do next? So what? So what? So what? You do that. Why stop at solo RPGs? Why don't you start saying that about breakfast? Why don't you start saying that about going for a walk, or smiling at a dog? Yeah, cool, Derek. Nothing means anything. Very, very cool insight. Hey, Derek, could you do me a favor for a second? Can you tell me what that is right next to your shoe? And then Derek goes, what are you talking about? And right when he looks down, you want to do a Hyoryuken style uppercut, or a direct, like naval, like abdominal push kick. Try to get some distance, right? You don't want him clinging on to the side, and just kick his ass into oblivion, and then just walk away. That's fine, okay? And then number two, after you kick someone into oblivion, the next thing you want to do is get cotton candy. This is one of my favorite rituals, is kick fight Derek into oblivion, and then cotton candy time, okay? Cotton candy is one of my favorite parts of this, because we have to start on something sweet. And what cotton candy is you go ahead and you write all the stuff that you like, all right, about the idea that got you feeling jealous, but also kind of excited, right? I'm using that word jealous to be a little bit, it's like a provocation. I hope you know, like, the feeling I'm talking about, that feeling of like excitement that you can create something, you can make something, you can manufacture this stuff out of thin air. And when I think of making joyful things out of thin air, I think of cotton candy. What's going on there? How is it that there's a device that you just swirl a stick around, and suddenly you got a puff? Do you know how much joy cotton candy gives a child? Uh, yeah. Do you know how much joy it gives adults? The same amount. But you punks are not buying cotton candy. Why? Because you're like, it's for kids. No. You ask BB. I talk about cotton candy all the time. All the time, how much I want cotton candy. Because it rules. It's so good. It's so fun. And anytime I see someone selling cotton candy, I grab some, and I love it when I see a person look over in the car and a grown man eating cotton candy. Why? Because I work for a living and I earned it, damn it. I can cotton candy myself whenever I want. My money. Okay? But in terms of creativity, cotton candies are the things that are nice, sweet bites of this. So this is like something, it starts out being about RuneQuest, like things I really, really like about RuneQuest. And then I start adding in stuff that I want, like stuff that my ideas. So this is just a basic one. This is, and you know, I, early on, I would write all this out. A lot of this process now I do verbally, or I just kind of mentally do it, but I really recommend writing it out early on. Just start writing all the things that are sweet bites about this. Do not be specific. Like, what are the actual notions that are awesome, right? Feel free to suck at words. Like, just say, like, look at stuff funny, different. Just keep writing. You'll notice some stuff is the same, unique and different, right? The things while you're going through this that are like, this is so cool. Art, cool. Animals, cool. Really nice layout, cool. The fact that everything's easy to read, cool. the fact that there's a reputation system, the fact that there's these little boxes with these asides, these are all cotton candies. If you like it, great. Know that you like it. Take the bite and say, this is all the stuff I like, because you're going to refer back to your cotton candies when you're a little later in the process and you're starting to get a little bit confused about what you're trying to do. You're trying to eat cotton candy, okay? Remember that. Next, you have to do a system that I call old sun, new planets, okay? And the reason I call it that is because you have to realize, like the phrase says, there's nothing new under the sun, right? And so even if you think you have a novel idea, just remember that parts of it are going to be novel, but the core pieces of it are going to be similar to something, right? Like, there has not been a totally new thing. Everything is incremental developments throughout history. We take leaps ahead by this slow evolution of ideas, and all of us adds like a little toggle to it, and those are the planets, right? But the reason I want to point this out is not to say like, oh, you can't make up something cool and unique and different. That's not it at all. Just realize that parts of what you do, there's going to be other things that are similar, and that is going to be important, because at some point you're going to start looking at other cotton candy and you need to stop yourself, okay? Now, if that doesn't make sense, it will, or maybe it never will if this doesn't go as I plan. But here's an example of old planets. So I say, I want to make a tabletop RPG. That's an old sun. We know that. People have done that before. A solo one. Very good. I want to write a fantasy adventure story, or if it's a game, I want to create some lore. Done before, right? However, then I put the new planets around it. And these are things that, as far as I'm concerned, these are new or rare things, or the things that are special about this project that are different, right? Because if you can't put a new planet around this, if you say, okay, I want to write a tabletop role-playing game, and it's going to be a fantasy adventure tabletop role-playing game. I want it to be like RuneQuest, okay? And then you say, okay, what are my planets? What are the things that I'm going to do that are different? If you can't figure that out, don't make anything yet. Go play RuneQuest. Go read whatever book you want to read. The number one thing that stops people from creativity is their life sucks and it's boring. Now, I'm not saying that there are people, obviously, who their capabilities or possibilities are limited by factors outside of their control. So I'm obviously accepting that group, and I understand the human condition includes things like that for everybody. Some, unfortunately, have it worse than others. But what I am saying is, if all you do is like the craft, but you don't have anything to say about it, your stuff sucks, okay? If you've ever noticed anybody who, like high school theater kids who all they do is like watch theater, they become like characters. When I lived in New York City, some of the worst, anyways, I lived with like musical theater people. I don't know who they were. I lived with them for a year. I was just like a random sublet. It was a nightmare. Everything was sung. It'd be like, I'm making eggs this morning. Everything was like that. But I didn't know who they were, because it was like the artifice was the subject of everything. There was nothing outside of that. And this can happen with gaming, where all you do is look at RPGs and talk about gaming. you need to go out and grab new inputs from the world. That's actually the alchemization that is going to make your thing special, right? And you really do need to think about what's the stuff that you do that is usually, so if you're like, if you have the worst job in the world, Mr. 55 has a legendary list of terrible jobs that I don't want to steal his thunder by telling anyone that. If you're not a member, this is a co-host of the SEAL Team Waffle Alpha podcast. Mr. 55 had hilariously terrible jobs. One of the ones that I think was most terrible that he really likes and misses because he was able to listen to a lot of podcasts was that he just scanned documents, right? It's some like corporate shell place. They give him a stack of documents and he's scanning in a computer day after day after day. There is that idea right there. You could say, oh, it's so bland, it's so boring. But then I was watching like these shows like Severance, if you've seen that on Apple TV. It's a pretty good show. I don't think it's like great, but it's a pretty good show compared to other garbage out. That's like the motivating force behind shows like that, is that sort of monotony, the lived experience of that monotony, because even when you're involved in monotony, the things that pass other people by, you begin to have an extremely deep and intimate connection with them. One of the things I like the most about 55 talking about his jobs is like the somatic experience of them. How to talk about like a filing job that he had where the way that he had to lean over these envelopes created a specific crink in his neck. And because he would do this day after day, hour after hour, this neck crink, which most of us would just like feel for a second, shake off, and it wouldn't even register to our awareness, it became an obsession. He almost like went crazy over it. I don't want to say anything more because I'll try to ask him about it next time we record, which, by the way, I'm getting carpal tunnel surgery tomorrow, so I might need a few days off before we get back to things. But anyways, so old sun, new planets. Figure out what your new planets are. If you don't know new planets yet, don't make anything because you don't have your thing yet. All right, go back, play RuneQuest, read about the Bronze Age, go to a museum, learn new data, bring new data. What do you got? Are you a garbage man? Add garbage. It doesn't have to mean that like your clerics are like throwing garbage away, but there's something about being a garbage person that is unique. It's a unique perspective. So figure that out and list your new planets. These are your new interesting novel things. Number 4, go explain it then. Especially is good if you can find a person to explain it to who doesn't know anything about gaming. If you really need someone to love you for that. One of the things that is great about being in a loving relationship is that being grounded, it eliminates a lot of the other latent anxieties that exist in your life, and it allows you to focus your creativity because of your groundedness, and because of an even flow of energy, which can be very chaotic. If you're not there yet, it took me almost forever for that. So don't feel bad. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but what else it's good for is you have a person that'll listen to your crap, even if they don't really know it, even if they're not really interested in it. I mean, BB does a podcast with me. I mean, it's incredible. I can't believe it, right? So go explain it, because when you explain it, it's going to help you, especially if you're somebody who learns through like teaching back to somebody else. Write an email, do a phone call. Don't pitch it for approval. Just explain it, okay? When you're done explaining it, if you had trouble explaining any of the parts of it, those are the parts that you should develop out more, all right? Now, we're at step 5. For step 5, I want to be very clear about this So I'm going to write it out. Give me 1 second. All right, this part's a little bit complex, and so I did want to write it out just so that there's no confusion about it. I want to make sure I explain this correctly, okay? So you explained it, you figured out what was new about it, and by the way, I'll put this list out at the end, so if you want to pause it and copy it or whatever. But you confronted the chasm, you kicked Derek into it, you listed out the things that you like about the thing that inspired you, or just the things that you like about what you want to create. You did Old Sun, New Planets and figured out what was new. You went and explained it to somebody, or wrote it, or did a Dear Diary, whatever it is. You explained it. You took a few notes on things that didn't work. And now we have number 5. Very, very complex. So I wrote it out. Go. Start writing. Go. Like go. Type. Type. Go. Don't stop. Don't format. Please stop. Stop talking. Go. Okay? Now, you might say, well, you don't understand, okay? It's not easy for me because you know what? 2 years ago, my sciatic... Okay, so this leads to the second part. Shut up, okay? Because nobody... Have you ever seen an award show that's like, we're presenting this award to a person who almost wrote a really great novel, but unfortunately, an arrow was shot out of a crossbow at their right arm, and when they were 26, and nobody, that doesn't happen. Okay. And so if you have a factor that is that limiting, shut this video off and go recover from that, or get to a place where because unfortunately, this is not very popular to say, at some times and some points in your life, you can't do stuff. You have to recover. So rather than watering this experience down so that everybody with an arrow shot through their arm can do it, you just have to go and recover. Okay. If you don't want to do that, if you want to be able to do this despite the things stopping you from doing that, you can't. I'm so sorry. You can't. So you have a choice. You can go, or you can go away. Okay? But what I recommend is go. Start typing. Type every single thing you can. And this is the point today that I was at, and I have 19 pages, and I'm going to show you that. And I wrote these 19 pages in 3 hours. Now, I could definitely write more than that in 3 hours, but for a game, it does require some, you got to come up with oracles and stuff like that. I really want you to understand me, though. You need to go. Start going in whatever way you can. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, right? If you have things that hold you back, you have difficulty concentrating, you have some physical pain, you have some immobility, you have self-doubt, I get it. If you can find a way to go for a little while, in whatever way that looks like, I have a voice recorder. A lot of times I will just sit there and I will record my voice. Anything to go, okay? But if you can't do it right now, then you can't do it. All right. So you have to go away. And that doesn't mean you're an outcast. What it means is it is really, really cruel for you to constantly approach the precipice of that which you wish you had, and then not be able to have it. So don't come here right now. If it's only going to make you feel miserable, don't come here right now. And if you disagree with this approach, okay, good luck. right? Because by the laws of physics, there is no alternative to what I'm saying here. You need to go. The things you are not able to do is stop. Stopping looks like a lot of different things. First of all, I want you to just stuff as much cotton candy in your mouth as you can. Fill up pages and pages and pages and pages, okay? Because I have 19 pages to show you. I actually had 38 pages, okay? And that's probably why I'm getting a carpal tunnel syndrome. But I formatted it into 19, and I'm going to show you some of it. So what I want to do, this is an idea that I've been having for a while, and it was RuneQuest that made me want to burst through and do it, is I really want to do a classic sword and sorcery fantasy RPG that takes place at an inn that doubles as a retirement community. And so I am making Trial. It's kind of a cheating acronym because I only use one of the A's, but it's the Retirement Inn for Advanced Assisted Living, which is like a nod to advanced, basic, expert, etc. And so this game involves a bunch of people who are retired adventurers, and it's a solo game where you have the inn, the retirement inn, and you have the innkeeper, and you have your first day, and you'll do a background character. You'll make the inn, you'll make the innkeeper, and then you have these legacy points, and you sort of like retroactively upgrade your character, different backgrounds. And I'll stop there because I'll show you it just to give a quick spin. Is you can go all the way down, right? And so this is all gas, no brakes. And that is important because chewing is brakes. Here's what chewing looks like. That really doesn't make sense. That's kind of similar to this idea. You know what? I don't really need to make a game out of this. You know what? This is probably better as like you know what? Maybe I should just like write a post about this on Reddit. Oh, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I don't know the math on this. Maybe I should stop and play test it. Maybe I should look. Stop. Stopping. Go. You're chewing. That is not the directive. You need to stuff as much cotton candy in your mouth as you can. Also, you're going to have a lot of doubts, and you're going to think it's important for you to write down those doubts because you want to remember those. Oh, wait, I just figured out what's wrong with this because my system's not. Shh. Shut up. Just keep going. I want you to create a massive treasure chest of all the junk in your brain about this and write and smile and be maniacal, cackle to yourself. Have your neighbors call the police on you because you keep going. Just go. Number 6, do not chew. No chewing. Chewing is doubt. Chewing is censorship. Chewing is editing while you're typing. No. Then number 7 is go. All right? You need to keep going past a certain point. Now we're going back to this difficult place. And the difficult place is it's hard. And you don't feel like it. And your eyes are tired. And your head is tired. But here's the thing. You might want to sit down for this because Man Alone's going to be the first person to tell you this. If you want to do something awesome, you can't have work-life balance. Okay? Work-life balance is for most of the time, but for some of the time in your life, you have to go out of balance. You have to stay up later than you should. You have to go into work tired. Okay? You need to get a C+ on an exam because you only studied half the time. You're going to have to push yourself because, again, like there's no awards for the guy who got shot with an arrow in his arm and almost made a screenplay. There's also no awards for the person who just put in like average effort, or the person who didn't really have time and so the movie is 6 minutes long. You have to go out of balance. You got to go a little out of balance. And so what you need to do is you need to go steal time. All right? This is very important. You need to go steal time so that you can go. And what I mean by that is you need to find something that you normally would invest your time into, and you need to steal that. And then after you've stolen it, you will have a consequence for that. Okay? So the consequence could be a risk, a consequence could be a loss, a consequence could be an uncomfortable physical or mental feeling, but that's going to make your go during that time more important and valuable because you made a sacrifice for it. I can never find this, but I know that I read this. There was something that said that people who pay for their own therapy benefit from it, and people who do not pay, well, not benefit, they percentage wise report benefiting from therapy by several standard deviations more than people for whom therapy is paid for. Now, this is not talking about like insurance or if someone's on public aid or something. It's talking about like people who scrounge the money to pay for their own therapy versus people who, like, a family member or a spouse pays for them to go to therapy, because if therapy does not involve a sacrifice of money or time or convenience or fun, then it does not have any importance to it. You're not giving up anything to do it. It's extra. But if you're making sacrifices to do something, the time you spend doing it becomes more meaningful. So you got to go sneak and you got to steal time from something. Now, obviously, there are boundaries to this. You don't want to put your health at serious risk, or obviously the health of anyone else, mental or physical. But you have to know yourself. How much can you stretch? If you don't want to do it, then you don't actually want to do it, right? You don't actually want to do this, and that's okay. You don't have to. Your worth as a person is not tied up with this. It's just you have to determine how much out of balance you can go. You have to suffer something, right? There's no free lunch, and there's no free solo RPGs. Number 8, during this time, you're going to start thinking about other cotton candy. You're going to be looking at other people at the carnival, and you're going to say, where'd they get that cotton candy? And then you're going to go and you're going to start searching other things that are like your game. And at first you're going to say, well, maybe I'll just do a search for the name of my game to make sure that I haven't violated any copyright. And then you're going to start typing in the mechanics of your game, and then you're going to find a game that looks just like it. And then also somebody like a YouTuber you watch, they're going to do a video on a game they're making that is totally similar to yours. And suddenly theirs is so much better and is so much more polished. And geez, they might even say you stole it from them. Okay. So understand something. Number 1, don't do any of that. Number 2, you didn't steal anything if you didn't steal anything. Okay? If somebody accuses you of stealing something and you didn't, well then, A, you're likely not going to actually, get in trouble for that. And B, what the hell are you going to do? Like, this is just a thing that happens sometimes in your life. Like, an unfortunate thing happens, okay? We can't We can't avoid fulfilling something that we have a desire to do based on this apprehension of being accused of something. Can't do it. It's not a good way to live. And before I got sober, I used to live that way all the time, and that was part of the addiction. Part of the addiction was that fear, that retreat, that surrender into this thing. Okay, can't do it, and you're also going to be hyper vigilant, and your brain is going to go out of its way to find things that are similar. Okay, some people, when I made Vox Gravis, they're like, "Oh, I was just trying to make something just like it," and they've shared a little bit of it, and I'm like, "It's nothing like mine, right? It's totally different." And also, it's about archetypes, which are the most fundamental, symbols of imprints on the human mind. So it's being like, "Oh my gosh, you made an RPG about that has a wizard in it? Well, I made one that was about wizards. Crap." That's the kind of stuff that you're going to start thinking if you go look at other people's cotton candies, okay? The next mechanical thing, and we're approaching number 9, is you need to make the cycle. Where did I do this one? Right. In the simplest way that you can, you need to try to make it 4 to 5 steps. Little as 3, up to 5. You may not add 6. 6 nay, 5 yay. Okay? You need to make the cycle of your game. Type in dumb words. Type as little as possible. Apply as little rigor to your thought as you can. And just say, in my game, I will do this, then this, then this, then this. For my game, you'll create everything: innkeeper, adventurer, in the inn. Then you'll have the daytime, where you'll have to like role play out having like a breakfast community meeting because you're in a retirement inn. And then in the evening, everyone comes around the fireplace and you have a frame story where everyone says, "Oh, well, once there was this time where I went and fought this wizard," or once this, right? And then at night you do your upkeep. Okay. And that's it. Okay. We're still not looking for other cotton candy. Now, I've done this so many times that I actually know that this idea here, there's probably an idea like this, but this one's mine. All right. And I came up with it on my own, and I know I did. So you can't harm a good man, Marcus Aurelius. You cannot harm an honest man, right? So it's like if I happen to have the synchronicity of copying somebody, okay, that just happened. There's nothing else I can say about that, right? But ultimately I didn't. So I'm not even going to torture myself, because that's coveting your neighbor's cotton candy. You don't do it. And the last thing we're going to do is, if you can, if it's not already, print it out. I bought a cheap printer. And for me, this was a very, very important purchase. You can get some on Amazon for like $50. Just get a printer that is black and white. You don't even need color, anything. Print it, make it physical. Then read it and put ideas that you have in the margins. Okay? That is, do not go back and edit anything until you have finished reading the paper and writing in the margins. If you go through it and then you say, "Oh crap, you know what? I forgot this part on page 2. Let me go back in and change that. Okay, now I'll print it out and go, oh, you know what? I'm fine." Don't do that. Read it from start to finish. Okay? Marginalia, write your thoughts in there. Finish the whole thing. Calm. Munch. Now you can chew a little. Chew, chew, chew. And when you've finally done that, okay, you can make some changes and you can share one bite. All right. Now, I very much have come to limit how much I share, or I also give instructions about it. Very often I'll say, I'm looking for errors, right? I want to see if there's anything grammatically wrong, spelled wrong. And then in a very small circle of people I trust, I will say, do these things make sense? Would you want to play it? Is there anything that you think would benefit from being added, subtracted, or moved? All right. But after you do the marginalia, then do some changes to it, then give one bite. One bite. You can even share one page. Okay. So is this going to work for everybody? No. For some people, what I said here, it's going to hurt their feelings. If that hurts your feelings, don't do it. Don't listen to it. Honestly, like, rebuke me. Say I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's just like in recovery. If any of you that have been in recovery, there are people that like AA does not work for. Like just sobriety and saying, every time that you think like, oh, maybe I could have some wine with my dinner, and they say, oh yeah, that's your addiction thinking, right? For some people, that doesn't work, and they need to go to smart recovery or whatever it is, right? For some people, it really, really works, right? For me, that was all that worked, okay? But then there's another place in here, and I want to speak directly to this middle place right now. They're the place that thinks this doesn't work for you, but in fact, it does. But you just don't want to do it. You want to have it your way. You want to do it your way. So what you need to ask, and I love you no matter what, okay? This has nothing to do with you as a person. This is just as creatively. If that is not working for you, why are you still doing it that way? If making excuses of why you can't do something is leading to you feeling dissatisfied about your creative ability, then why are you fighting so hard to stay in that dissatisfied place? Okay. You have to change something, and you have to suffer a little. Okay. Now, I'm not speaking to any, like, this is not for everybody. For some of you, it's kind of ridiculous though. Like, if you are like, I'm going to get some sort of comment that's like, actually, I'm in a really good place with creativity. It's like, okay, why did you watch this video? Right? Like, so if this doesn't work for you, it's not your message, it's not the time. Great. Go lick wallpaper. I don't care. But if you're a person that you're feeling really, really dissatisfied with your creative output, you're feeling like you cannot bring things to the finish line, just remember that Derek is kind of right. Your thing is not going to, for most people, we're not Isaac Newton, right? We're not Shakespeare. We cannot, if you're like going to change the game in something, by now you'll have seen it coming, right? Or you need to start and then work up to that. But if your expectation is that you're going to just be awesome at something or nothing, then you are going, just clear your calendar for the next 60 years and write a line through every day and just write dissatisfied. Okay. Because you're busy. You're not going to have anything. You're not going to have any openings because you spend every waking hour being dissatisfied. All right. Put something out. And if it sucks, welcome. Welcome to the club of people who have stuff that sucks. As much as I appreciate people who bought my Pocket Quest game, I that was not the best game. I mean, it was limited to 20 pages for Pocket Quest, but like, if I made that game now, would I make it the same way? No. But I put it out there, and I'm so proud of myself for that. And in so many ways, that really brought me past that threshold of doubt. I wanted to also offer to those of you who are considering some solo play, and maybe your creative output is not making a game, maybe it's making a YouTube channel, maybe it's creating a podcast. The Solo Role Players podcast also has some challenges going right now. Not challenge; they're not having difficulties. I would say there is a promotion from at Soscade, who I'll tag below, to put out some solo play and record it. That could be a great way to begin the process of sucking for a while until you get a little better, and then a little better, and then you suck so long that you're starting to not suck as much, and then by God, one day you actually are kind of good at it, right? So consider that. Whatever it is, my recommendation is just eat some cotton freaking candy, man. All right. I'm tired of hearing myself. Just drag on in these videos and repeating the same stuff over and over. God, it's giving me a headache. Anyone else have a headache? Comment below. Comment above.